Angel's Throne, Series 4, The Forsaken Light. Chapter 1, The Light Beneath the Ashes. The silence that followed the defeat of the Epum had promised peace, but it was a hollow, fragile peace. The heavens, once full of divine radiance, now pulsed with a cold, foreboding hum, its light diminished, its balance unsettled. The angel's throne, broken but still standing, was a reminder of all that had been lost and what was yet to come. Sara stood before the fractured throne, the weight of her choices pressing down on her. Her mind, once clear, was now filled with visions, dreams of the forsaken light, an eternal flame that whispered her name in the darkness. Each time she closed her eyes, she saw its power, its seductive promise to remake the world in its image. But she knew the cost. Gabriel had warned her, the throne was never meant to be wielded by mortal hands. Yet, she was the one chosen to carry it. Torn between the mortal world she had always known and the divine war that had now ensnared her, Sara was no longer sure of her place. Her heart ached with doubt, her mind clouded with the weight of destiny. Meanwhile, deep in the celestial courts, Gabriel sat in isolation, his wings dulled, his once radiant armor tarnished by the battles fought both in heaven and earth. The discovery of the forsaken light had shattered more than just the balance of power, it had exposed the cracks in the celestial hierarchy. Gabriel could not ignore the whispers that traveled through the heavens. A new war was brewing, one that would test the very foundation of creation. The forsaken light was the key, the source of unimaginable power, but also a force that could consume all in its path. But the truth was more sinister than he could have imagined, the light had a will of its own. Chapter 2, The Queen of Shadows. Nerratha, the queen of the Epum, rose from the blackened ruins of her dark realm, her form shimmering with power. She was no longer the twisted figure of darkness she had once been. The forsaken light had changed her, giving her both beauty and terror in equal measure. She was the rightful heir to the light, or so she believed. The ancient prophecies spoke of a time when the forsaken light would rise, and with it, the power to shape reality itself. Nerratha had been waiting for this moment, patiently, quietly, gathering strength from the shadows, building alliances with those who, like her, desired power beyond heaven and earth. But Sara, the mortal who now possessed the angel's throne, was an obstacle, a threat to her destiny. As Nerratha's influence spread, she began to weave a web of deceit and manipulation, pulling at the hearts of those who had once fought alongside the angels. Israfel, the angel of judgment, found himself drawn into her orbit. Once a loyal servant of heaven, Israfel now questioned the divine order, torn between his duty and the disturbing allure of Nerratha's vision for a new world. In the shadows, the risen mortals, a faction of humans imbued with both celestial and infernal powers, prepared for their part in the coming storm. Their leader, Eliam, was a man of faith and rebellion, struggling with his newfound gifts and the burden of destiny. He had been chosen for something greater, but the cost of that power was still unclear. Chapter 3, The Flame Reborn. On Earth, the ripple effect of the celestial conflict reached new heights. Sara, having taken the angel's throne once more, felt its power coursing through her veins, an unbearable weight of knowledge, desire, and fear. Every decision she made now rippled through the fabric of reality, bending both light and shadow to her will. But with each passing day, she felt herself slipping, losing grip on what it meant to be human. The forsaken light burned brighter now, its flames leaking into the mortal realm, disturbing the natural order. Elemental forces raged, mountains crumbled, oceans boiled, skies turned red. The once serene balance between the realms had been shattered. A choice loomed before Sara: should she use the angel's throne to restore balance, or should she succumb to its promise of ultimate power? As visions of destruction and creation filled her mind, she realized the consequences of either decision would be far-reaching. Chapter 4, The War Within. The celestial armies prepared for the final battle, but it was not a battle of soldiers. This war would be fought in the hearts and minds of those who carried the burden of the forsaken light. Gabriel, torn between his loyalty to heaven and his understanding of the truth, led the charge. He had once been a warrior, but now, he was a seeker of answers. The coming storm would require more than strength, it would require wisdom and the willingness to face the darkest parts of himself. As the forces of heaven and earth clashed once more, the Epim, led by Nerratha, moved swiftly, using both light and shadow as their weapons. And in the center of it all, the angel's throne, now fully awakened, awaited the one who could wield its power to reshape the world. But nothing would be the same. The light would never shine the same way again.